Hey everyone, welcome to practice tonight. Tonight, our practice is brought to you by the Golden Girls. Thank you for being a friend. Welcome to everyone joining us for the first time. Please feel free to say hello if you're new, or anyone can say hello, but definitely if you're new, I would love to know if you're new. Um, I am Lama Rod. I use he, him pronouns. I'm here on Muskogee Creek, Cherokee land in Atlanta. And for those of us who live here in Atlanta, we've had some rough weather today. So that's definitely had impact on my energy. Like all the heavy rain is really like really just like settling for me, which is good, right? Also, it's very good, but it's also not so good if you have lots of work to be doing. But yeah, we had a tornado warning too in the city, at least in my part of town. So yeah, it was very stormy. So yeah, but welcome again, everyone into the space. We're gonna get practicing soon. I want to go back and just invite everyone. If you have prayer requests, go ahead and just start adding those prayer requests to the chat box because I would love to offer those prayer requests as well. And let's see. Yeah. In terms of practice, I actually, strangely enough, had a dream. I actually took two naps today because that's been the kind of day this has been, you know. But in one of my dreams, my last dream, I dreamed that I was giving actually doing the practice tonight in the dream, and it's not uncommon either. It's not uncommon for me to have dreams about teaching. It's not uncommon for me to get dreams about material. And I had the dream. I was like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. But, I wasn't like interested in necessarily like giving that talk tonight. But like, I'll give you like, you know, the teaching from the dream if I can remember it. Now I'm like forgetting it. Let's see. Oh, so these three aspects of practice that I wanted us to focus on tonight. The three aspects are: one, prayer; second, surrendering; and third, opening. In that order. So prayer, surrender, and opening. So, maybe we'll just go with that for a minute. Um, so, I, so we've been talking a lot, for those of you who are just joining us, I would also just remind you that we have all of our sessions recorded. So I think you can just go back and look at all the old sessions. I think we have 19 or 14, I forget how long we've been on this platform. We've been doing this over a year now, by the way. I forget the exact anniversary. I think it was in April sometime, mid April. But we've been doing this for, Medicine Buddha Monday night gathering for just over a year now. So, and we're continuing on. Um, and of course, prayer has been a really important part of this. Prayer has become a really important part of my practice as well. And prayer facilitates the opening. I'm not going to get like super into everything tonight because I want to get into practice. But just like in this, pre-space of practice, just again reminding us about prayer. We're adding prayer. We're going to start offering prayer. We've done a lot of work with prayer. But for me, I will just say for me, prayer is kind of this doorway into a surrender. For me, into a surrender to this higher expression of consciousness for me. And of course, that higher expression of consciousness can be, the mother or the deity, and for me, when I pray, right, there are different ways, that I pray. I think all those ways are really essentially the same way. But, one of the ways that I was practicing today was just by allowing, needs to kind of rise for me, for myself. So just opening my mind and just saying, okay, what do people need? What do we need? What do I need? Letting those needs arise. And as those needs arise, I imagine offering those needs into this expression of space and emptiness, right? And we talked about this last week. And for me, that space, right, the expression of space, the, the, the quality of space, the existence of space, that is an expression of the mother. That is an expression of the mother. So when I offer these prayers into emptiness, I'm just offering them into the heart of the mother. It's not that, I don't visualize anything. Often in my practices, I'm not necessarily visualizing, but I'm just working directly with energy itself, right? I know some of you are probably doing that already. You're just working, you feel that and you offer it into emptiness. So you're working with felt experiences, right? And often in our practices, right, we're working with visualizations because visualizations become an anchor for us. Like it helps us to work with energy, when we have something conceptual to anchor the mind in, but it can be completely non-conceptual where you just feel things and you're just like cycling and just offering everything back into emptiness, right? So that's the kind of prayer that we've been working with. And of course, we can visualize offering prayer, to Medicine Buddha, to whatever deity you're working with, right, in different forms. I often teach offering a prayer offering where we imagine our prayers transforming into flowers, right? Into like beautiful flowers, beautiful offerings, and then offering those flowers to the feet of the deity, which is very tantric practice as well. So that prayer is an opening because it is asking us to tell the truth about what's happening in the world and what's happening in our lives, what's happening in the lives of others around us, right? And it takes a level of courage to begin to articulate the things that we want to see change, from things happening in the world, in our communities, from issues of injustice, from sickness, dying, and death, and so forth. When we articulate these things, we're bringing them into actuality, right? And so I talk about accepting things. So when we articulate things, it starts this process of actually accepting the reality of something, right? It's hard to pray for something that you haven't quite accepted happening, or you haven't accepted the fact that it's happening in the world. So a prayer is naming the actuality of something. You name it because you want it to be different, right? But you can't do this work of changing the thing until you touch the thing. And that's what we mean by accept. You have to touch it. You have to touch the reality to touch the reality of something, you have to allow your heart to break, right? For me, in my practice right today, I was just praying for things that it was really hard for me to articulate, because of various things. Like I didn't want the reality of something to be real, but in order for me to enter into a relationship of transformation, I had to name it and offer it, right? So again, that's the prayer that facilitates the surrendering, right? So you move into the surrender, like I'm surrendering by offering. Offering is an act, an expression of surrendering. It's an expression of reminding ourselves that there are higher expressions of being that we call different things. In Buddhist tantric traditions, we call it our Buddha nature. We call it our the essence of our minds, the essence of reality. We call it wisdom mind. Call it Buddha nature, right? You know, Sometimes we call it basic goodness. But we call it that's the a higher form of consciousness that's also a higher vibration. Like there's a higher vibration, right? So we move from levels of consciousness through actually manipulating energy and vibrations, right? That we're vibrating on a certain level, frequency, and then we can manipulate that frequency to vibrate higher, you know. So when you talk about, when, like for those of you who do healing work, if you do like Reiki or different other kinds of modalities that involve healing, you're talking really about adjusting vibrations. You're talking about manipulating vibrations. And it's how we kind of touch into higher forms, higher expressions of the mind. It's hard to maintain those higher states of consciousness because of the physical body, because the physical body can only hold higher vibrations for a set period of time, you know. So you can't just stay there, but you can touch into it for various periods and then come back into this kind of everyday regular mind. Often when we're practicing, right, in these sessions, we're working with vibrations, like we're adjusting vibrations. So we adjust it and we begin to tune into a higher state or higher consciousness. And from that higher consciousness, we're able to experience physical balancing or healing, right? We're able to receive different kinds of wisdom, and we call transmissions, right? I think some of you may have. I did this modality a couple of months ago, which was like really really great. It was called quantum. What was it called? Quantum hypnosis. I don't think that's the full name, but like that's basically the name, quantum hypnosis. And it was just basically hypnosis that helped you to actually enter into a higher state of mind. And from that higher state of mind, you were guided by a facilitator to start getting certain kinds of wisdom through a questioning process, which I found to be really helpful. Yeah, that's it. QHHT, quantum healing hypnosis technique. Yeah. Because if it's some weird shit, I'm there for it. My friends know if there's some weird shit happening, they can give me a call and say, listen, Rod, there's some weird shit happening. I'm like, when and where? When, where, how much? And how long do I need to block out time to do this thing? So I just feel like the kind of in terms of like, these kinds of modalities, is really, I just find it to be really helpful just to explore everything that seems appropriate. When I have friends who I trust who are like, oh, you should do this, I listen to that. I pay attention to that and I go and do it. And I learn from it, you know. Um, and if it doesn't feel generative for me, I don't do it anymore. You know, if it does, I continue to work with it. And this is how you get these weird teachings on Monday nights. So anyway, so that's the surrendering part, right? So after surrender, of course, we move into the opening, right? That opening. So when you're raising the vibration, touching into these higher states of consciousness, then you're open, like you're energetically open. There's an opening. There's a vulnerability right there. And in those higher states of consciousness, that's where the guru abides, right? That's the realm of guru. Um, so so when you touch into those higher levels, those higher consciousness, then you begin. This is when you begin to communicate with the guru. Also, you begin to communicate, of course, with the deity, and to just open to that, right? And it's like opening and being filled, right? It's like, it's standing, like it's like being outside today with all the rain that we've been having here, and just opening and being filled with that rain. That's really, that experience of like opening in those higher levels of consciousness, that opening that comes after surrender, that comes after prayer, you know. And in the prayer phase, we are asking for the support, right? So this is always what I'm always going to say, because I think this is going to always be the case, which is that as we pray, we're also praying to be guided into these experiences, right? And this is why devotion, taking refuge, practices like that. And of course, we don't take, I almost never do traditional refuge practice. But, you know, what is always a part of my practice is the prayer, asking to be guided, to be taken care of as I move in and out of different practices. Even when I did the quantum hypnosis practice, right, it was like also a part of that was also offering prayer, for me to be guided, protected by, deities, ancestors, guides, gurus, teachers, and so forth. Um, like always, 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 when you're doing anything new, in this world of healing modalities or magic or even meditation, I think even meditation practice, like ask for help, ask for guidance, right? Ask to be cared for, ask to be kept safe, because as you're moving in and out of these different fields, there's a lot of energies that do not want you to be well, right? They're not so benevolent beings, and you just have to ask for the guidance to be protected. You should always be asking for protection and guidance every day, as much as possible. Every time I leave the house or every time I get into the car now, it's just like I'm asking for protection and guidance. You know, so yeah, so prayer, surrender, opening. Let's see what we can do with this tonight. Okay, so for those of you who are new, we're gonna start moving into practice, and all the mantras and prayers. We'll do, I guess, two mantras. Our opening mantra, the main mantra of Medicine Buddha, um, and then we'll have our Shanti Deva prayer as well at the very end of tonight. There's a new prayer from Shanti Deva that I've been coming across. Actually, I have it saved somewhere, and I've been studying. I may replace it because this is a very the the translation is a little different, but it's also some new passages And again, this prayer that we cite comes from the Bodhisattva's way of life, or a guide to a guide to the Bodhisattva's way of life. And of course, I forget the Sanskrit name for that text um, as well. So, anywho, you can find that book anywhere. That's a basic Dharma book that you can find in libraries, bookstores, online as well. Um, so we'll begin. We're going to begin um, with our first mantra, Min La Sangye Kino Soha. And at the end of tonight, at the end of our practice, I want us to do a little bit of sound practice. So, like, starting to align um, sound vibration with chakra activity. I think that I know I promised we would be doing more of that, but I just keep forgetting. So tonight we're going to do that at the very end. I think that's a really nice adjustment practice, settling practice as well. But in any case, Mila Sange Kino Soha, which means, oh medicine Buddha, please think of me, please know me. Kino traditionally means to think of. It's a Tibetan word which means to think of, but in terms of mantra practice here, we let Kino become what we need it to be, right? If you want Medicine Buddha to think of you, then it's fine. If you want um, Medicine Buddha to heal you, so Medicine Buddha, please heal me, or Medicine Buddha, please remember me, Medicine Buddha, please gaze upon me, please look at me, please walk with me, please sit with me. So let Kino, become what you need in this moment. Medicine Buddha. Again, this is prayer. So this is our opening prayer to Medicine Buddha. And this opening prayer where we're evoking, we're calling the consciousness, the energy, the heart of Medicine Buddha to be present as the primary enlightened energy in the space, right? Is Medicine Buddha. So we're calling Medicine Buddha right now and offering a prayer to Medicine Buddha to begin with. Okay. So we're going to begin. We'll just chant. I'll just keep chanting until I feel complete with the practice. Okay. So actually, to begin with, allowing your body to come into a position that feels appropriate for you. Oh, and also, I think I just read that. Also, we're going to be dedicating our practice for the next 7 weeks to Lama Justin, who on this weekend, I think Saturday morning, started his 7-week or 49-day dark retreat, which is a solitary retreat that's done completely in the dark, 24/7. Yeah, I'm overwhelmed just saying that. No, so I'm going to be dedicating all of my practice to supporting him and getting through this 49 days of solitary, completely dark retreat. Everything is done in the dark. Eating, washing, practicing, no technologies, no contact with people. All his meals are delivered in darkness as well. So he'll be wondering in the, in these higher levels of consciousness. So we're gonna meet him with some prayers. Okay, so having said that, let's return back to allowing our bodies to come into a position that's appropriate for us. If your breath is accessible for you tonight, and it's okay if it's not, but if it is, I invite you to shift your attention to your breath and just noticing the in breath and the out breath. And if you can, just allowing the breath to just really elongate, to deepen, so really taking your time to inhale, really extending the exhale, just in and out. As you inhale, imagine inhaling into something that feels heavy or uncomfortable. Imagining that that in-breath begins to dissolve that experience. And then on the exhale, just imagining that you're releasing that energy, that experience. And with each exhale and each release, allowing your body to kind of be held even more deeply, more securely by the seat under you. Inhaling, dissolving, releasing, surrendering deeper into the seat. So as you're moving through the breath, you may notice, different things beginning to arise, things getting uncovered. So whatever you feel arising, I want you to just offer it into the spaciousness, the emptiness of your mind. And this is an offering, our first offering to the deity. Whatever arises, let it rise and be offered into the emptiness of the mind. And this is like a Tonglen kind of Cha combination practice here, right? So breathing into discomfort, but we're offering the discomfort out into emptiness, which is the expression of the deity, right? And so we move into our mantra, Om Minla Sange Kino Soha. And of course, you can just sit and listen as well. You can chant along, whatever feels appropriate, okay? Minla Sange Kino Soha. Om Minla Sange Kino Soha. Om Minla Sange Kino Soha. Om Minla Sange Kino hum it some now. Mm, 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 allowing our breath to come back into a natural breath for us. Turning our mind to the ways that Medicine Buddha has awoken around us, or inside of us, and noting that our experience, or any experience of spaciousness, is an expression of the deity, or openness. In this openness, we turn our attention to our heart centers. And you can imagine breathing in and out of the heart center. And imagine that you begin to inhale, breathe in the blessing of Medicine Buddha around you, or the energy of Medicine Buddha around you, directly into the heart center. So breathing directly into the heart center, inhaling the energy, the vibration, the consciousness of Medicine Buddha. Beginning to imagine that as we breathe into the heart center, the heart center begins to glow with this white, soft light. And that is the concentration of Medicine Buddha's awakened consciousness beginning to intensify within our own heart center and slowly throughout our whole bodies. Allowing the soft white light to begin to spread throughout the whole body. Eventually getting to this point where our bodies are shining, glowing, radiating like stars. Just like our full moon meditation last week, our bodies begin to radiate this energetic consciousness of the great healer of Medicine Buddha. as we're being filled and as we begin to glow deeper with this expression, Medicine Buddha, we also begin to turn our minds to our own discomfort, our own struggles, to our own grief and worry, our own anger, traumas. And as we begin to notice these experiences for ourselves, I encourage you to imagine just offering these experiences into the radiance, this glow of our bodies, which is an expression of Medicine Buddha. So as if we're offering these things that feel like darkness or heaviness into the brilliant light radiating, centered, that radiation, that radiance being centered in the heart, right? So offering what feels like dark, heavy things into the brilliance of Medicine Buddha's consciousness radiating, centered in our heart centers. And letting these struggles, these things be completely consumed by the radiance that is Medicine Buddha. And I will begin to chant this opening mantra just a few more times. Om La Sangye Kino Soha. Om La Sangye Kino Soha. Om La Sangye Kino Soha. And now turning our attention to our prayer requests. We begin to offer these prayers into this awakened consciousness of Medicine Buddha in our own experience. And I summon all the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, the Dharma protectors, all benevolent, helpful, loving ancestors, all the guardians, the spirits of the land and the elements, all the Bodhisattvas, all deities, protectors, spirits, to come and witness and hear these prayer requests, and to, on behalf of those we are offering prayers for, I pray that you also help to fulfill the wishes, the aspirations of all the prayers that are being offered. And those beings who are bound to the liberation of all beings, we specifically evoke you to offer your support in the elimination of all suffering, disease, illness, struggle, or injustice, to offer liberation from these experiences for all of us, for all beings. We begin by offering our prayers to Lama Justin as he begins his dark retreat on behalf of all beings and for all beings, actually. We're sitting retreats and practicing on behalf of all beings. We pray for removal of all of their obstacles so that their practice may benefit all of us. We continue to pray for the stuckness in me and for trauma to be released. Prayers for my heart to stay open, to not harden in the face of conflict. Offering prayers for Aunt True, Aunt Annie, May, Pa communities in India, Nepal, Brazil, so many places, and all who are suffering, and for all who are worrying and unsettled, praying for support for me and for you, for Dharma teachers, and so many wonderful, generous teachers. We continue to pray for Richard Perry, a friend's uncle, and those suffering from COVID-19, especially those in India and Nepal. Offering prayers for a dear friend who is feeling burnout in the education system, and for myself who is experiencing some negative physical health issues. Prayers for the ocean, for its resilience and healing. Prayers for Gloria's highest good and having her rental application approved. Prayers for bereaved mamas in our present lifetimes and beyond. Prayers for protection. It seems as if I've been diligent in keeping documentation to defend myself professionally and legally. Also pray for the protection and healing of my family, teachers, community at large, and teachers. Prayers for all animals who are mistreated at the hands of humans. Prayers for Neil. Prayers for everyone who is lonely, who is tired, who is too hurt to feel hopeful. Prayers for NM and my family who are struggling with grief, hurt, and anger. Prayers for Kathy going through chemo. Prayers for all burnout and defeated activists. Prayers for everyone who is tired. Prayers for Medicine Buddha healing for folks suffering from COVID and all the related consequences in India and Brazil especially. Offering prayers for my friend Lenore, who's awaiting her operation, and for my friend Nadia and her family, that they may encounter good health. Offering prayers for my aunt in a coma due to COVID-19. Prayers for all those suffering from COVID, death, and illness everywhere, but thinking particularly about folks in India right now. Prayers for the people in Gaza and the West Bank. Offering prayers for my husband Aaron, who had a second heart attack 2 weeks ago and is still recovering. Prayers for myself because I'm feeling scared. Offering prayers for myself and all who are working to move past fear into transformation and new awareness towards a hopefully more liberated self. Prayers for the family and community of Andrew Brown Jr. in Elizabeth City, North Carolina. we continue to offer prayers for a friend's young adult daughter killed in an accident. She was a triplet and leaves behind two wombed mates, and for all those broken by her death. And also offer prayers for the healing of Mike and for all beings who are struggling to understand mental health. And offer prayers for all of us in this space, particularly for all prayers that have not been articulated. I offer prayers for the deepest well-being, happiness, and joy and liberation for all those gathered here tonight and for all of those connected to us. So as we move forward deeper into the practice, as we move into our mantra practice, I invite you to imagine just all those whom you're personally praying for. Imagining that they just begin to gather around you. And we continue to imagine that we are still radiating brightly, brilliantly with the light of Medicine Buddha, the consciousness of Medicine Buddha. And slowly I invite you to imagine that you begin to radiate even more deeply, more intensely, and this radiation from your body, this radiance of healing, warm light begins to encompass all those around you. And this light begins to heal, to balance, to comfort all those whom this light is touching and saturating. Is letting this energy of healing just radiate as intensely, as brightly, as overwhelmingly as possible to all those around you. And as you do so, you're not feeling depleted or overwhelmed, but you're just allowing the radiance of Medicine Buddha from your own body to heal those around you. And we move into our mantra practice. Teata bekenze ma bekenze ratsa sumung ngate soha. Just a supplication to Medicine Buddha to actually intensify this energy. Teata bekenze ma bekenze rasa sumung gate soha. 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 umbegense, begense, ma begense, rasa sumungare soa. Deada umbegense, begense, ma begense, rasa sumungare soa. Deada umbegense, begense, ma begense, rasa sumungare soa. Deata 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 umbegense, 라즈 수문가데 소아 제야자 옴베겐제 베겐제 마베겐제 라즈 수문가데 소아. So for the last few minutes of our practice, I invite you to go just a little deeper into the practice. So some of you are putting too much effort into the practice. We don't really need to. So really just settling into just, allowing this light just to radiate. And you don't have to see anything in particular, but just this feeling, this experience of just allowing. And this is the opening, right? Just allowing. The opening is allowing, this wish, right? This light is just a symbol for this deep wish for everyone to be well, to be free, to be healed, right? So letting this wish in the form of light or not just freely radiates. May all beings be free. May all beings be well. Letting this wish just radiate throughout the whole world, throughout the land, the earth. Letting this wish radiate into the bardo or the spirit world. Letting this wish guide the transition of beings from this realm of the living into the realm of the spirit. In the same way, for those of you who are really settling into this expression of light, just letting this light shine, letting it radiate, letting the light, this light which is just an expression of a deep wish for all beings to be free, just letting that light just shine uninterrupted, without obstacle, just freely, just your wide open container freely pouring this light out. And this light isn't exhausting you. There's just this natural radiance that's always a part of you that can never be extinguished. But just letting that natural light, that natural compassion, love, bodhicitta radiate throughout the world until we're imagining that the whole world is radiating, glowing from this light. Letting the light do the work. Letting go of efforting and struggling and trying and just allowing. Okay. 오제야 자음배연세 배연세 마배연세 라스 수문가 제소아 제야 자음배연세 배연세 마배연세 라스 수문가 제소아 제야 자음배연세 배연세 마배연세 라스 수문가레 소아 제야자 옴배연세 배연세 마배연세 라스 수문가레 소아 제야자 옴배연세 배연세 마배연세 라스 수문가레 소아 제야자 옴배연세 배견세 마배견세 라스 수문가 제소아 제야자 옴배견세 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 배견세 마배견세 라스 수문가 제소아 제야자옴 백연세 백연세 마백연세 라스 수문가제 소와 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 Now making a final wish aspiration for all beings in all the worlds and all the times. Be free from all suffering. Turning our attention back to our heart centers, letting all the beings we've summoned to be with us, allowing them to return back from where they came from. Shifting our attention now to the seat, noticing the weight of our bodies making contact with the seat. Now shifting our attention even lower, touching into the earth. Now allowing the energy of our attention to touch into the energy of the earth. Noticing the meeting, the union of our attention with the earth. Letting the earth hold us for just a few more moments. Of course, allowing the earth to ground us, to bring us back into this moment, into this time and reality. We offer a final prayer for the earth. We offer our gratitude to the earth for always holding us. Shifting our attention to our closing prayer, to Shanti Deva's prayer, which you will find in the chat box in a moment. So we're going to recite this 3 times together. Okay? We begin. May I be a protector to those without protection, a leader for those who journey, and a boat, a bridge, a passage for those desiring the further shore. May the pain of every living creature be completely cleared away. May I be the doctor and the medicine, and may I be the nurse for all sick beings in the world until everyone is healed. Just like space and the great elements such as earth, may I always support the life of all the boundless creatures. And until they pass away from pain, may I also be the source of life for all the realms of varied beings that reach unto the ends of space. May I be a protector to those without protection, a leader for those who journey, and a boat, a bridge, a passage for those desiring the further shore. May the pain of every living creature be completely cleared away. May I be the doctor and the medicine, and may I be the nurse for all sick beings in the world until everyone is healed. Just like space and the great elements such as earth, may I always support the life of all the boundless creatures. And until they pass away from pain, may I also be the source of life for all the realms of varied beings that reach unto the ends of space. And finally, may I be a protector to those without protection, a leader for those who journey, and a boat, a bridge, a passage for those desiring the further shore. May the pain of every living creature be completely cleared away. May I be the doctor and the medicine, and may I be the nurse for all the sick beings in the world until everyone is healed. Just like space and the great elements such as earth, may I always support the life of all the boundless creatures. And until they pass away from pain, may I also be the source of life for all the realms of varied beings that reach into the ends of space. Right. Thank you all so much for your practice today. Um, and you can join the community on Wednesday night. I'll be offering um, our community sharing on Wednesday night for Bhumi Sparsha. Um, I'm also offering a weekend retreat starting, let's see, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday um, on on grieving. And that's hosted um, out of the UK, out of South Sea Sangha. I know some of you are familiar with South Sea Sangha, which is kind of like, in many ways, my Sangha away from home, right? My Sangha in the UK. And it's going to be on UK time. So so a very different, you know, time. But you can check my website we're almost at the mark for registration. So I think there's still maybe like 15 spots left. So if you want to do that, check that out as well. Um, Beyond that, just continue to check Bumi Sparsha's event page and also my event page, excuse me, on my website as well. Um, so thank you everyone so much for your practice, and I hope to see you um, with us on Wednesday evening. Okay. All right. Thank you everyone.